Breaking, Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund bought $436 million worth of Bitcoin ETFs in Q1, SEC filings report. Just in, Trump media authorizes investing in crypto assets. Maybe that's why we're seeing that nice solid pump on the Trump coin. And this was a major headline this morning. Just in, Citi, the third biggest U.S. bank by assets, is considering expanding into the cryptocurrency custody management. And as we know, Citi and an XRP partnership has been talked about in the past. And on top of Citi, we also have State Street. So State Street and Citibank to launch Bitcoin and crypto custody. Brad Garlinghouse coming out with a solid political post here, walked away from an action-packed day in D.C. yesterday with the feeling that there is finally an incredible opportunity to advance meaningful bipartisan legislation that establishes clear, constructive, and pro-innovation regulatory frameworks for crypto. Thank you to these great leaders. And you can see him here pictured with some people over on the Congress. Rep. Bill Huizenga comes in and said, so glad to be a part of these important conversations, both now and over the years. And thanks for you and your team's engagement over the years, Brad Garlinghouse. We are within striking distance. Now, speaking of striking distance, a lot of you guys out there that are XRP fans, you've been following the Bearable guy. And this was one of his famous posts from quite a while ago. We have this interesting heart and a 14. What goes along with 14 and heart? Oh, yeah, Valentine's Day. And what are we experiencing right now? Are we experiencing the next level to the upside on the 14th, kicking it off? 6 plus 7 equaling 13 as well. So did we get an early start? We're going to take a look at that in the charts on the 13th. Now the 14th. Are we about to start a pump and climb this mountain to the upside? First Ledger says, happy Valentine's Day. Also, All In Crypto had a nice post here from Smoked QG during a recent chat that they had about ISO assets.
Cover was a document from Nobody where they discussed the Australian stablecoin, where they're deploying XDC, Ripple, and Hedera simultaneously for 3 different use cases around the stablecoin. So XDC, for example, is going to use this Australian stablecoin for trade finance. That's pretty much the focus of XDC, the $30 trillion a year trade finance. We're talking cargo ships, big shipments across seas, and that is over 100 documentations for each transaction. XDC can tokenize that into liquidity and generate more revenue for a company that uses XDC to tokenize the trade finance process. And the stablecoin, Australian stablecoin, will be used to transact goods in the digital ecosystem. Ripple, on another aspect of the stablecoin, is managing the liquidity through Ripple's on-demand liquidity platform. That's another way an ISO asset interacts with the stablecoin. And Hedera is the platform that the stablecoin is being deployed on because of its efficiency in carbon neutral environment. And because they're all ISO assets, the synergy between them naturally comes because they're interoperable simply because they're ISO assets from a compliance and tech perspective.
Wow. So interesting news coming out of Australia. And going back to Bearable Guy 123's post about the mountains here, Kenny Nguyen says, I cracked the code from Bearable Guy. I will share more details. And then when you head over to his page, he does have a nice little breakdown here. Bearable Guy used the image representing Yosemite Mountains in California with the tallest peak at 13,114, equaling 3,997 meters. 13,114 equals 13 and 14, 213.25 and 214.25. He's saying it also equals 14 minus 13, which equals 1, plus 1 equals 2, which is February. And you can see in the image, number 13 and, of course, number 14 is in the shape of the heart. So here we have the mountain number 1, mountain number 2, and then mountain number 3. 1, 2, 3. He says more to come. So interesting information here, guys. Do you guys follow the riddles that are involved with XRP? Let me know down in the comments section. And then one of the biggest things that I saw that I was really excited about, because like I said, the charts are showing that we should be moving to the upside for sure. but breaking South Korea to lift crypto ban for institutions. And as you all know, and we even reported on it yesterday, XRP was the most traded crypto on the Korean exchange. This is by retail traders. This is not even institutional traders. The past 24 hours yesterday, Upbit reached $3.225 billion worth of volume. That's 14% of the XRP volume. And now, the very next day, South Korea lifts the crypto ban for institutions, so we can see even more volume coming through. So exciting times ahead. But let's talk more about, you've probably already seen in the news, may have already read the headlines, but let's find out a little bit more about what's going on with Grayscale's XRP ETF. The SEC will likely face a mid-October deadline to decide whether Grayscale's XRP and Dogecoin ETFs can get off the ground. Now, they have until mid-October, essentially November. But the reality is, once the case for XRP is over, they can approve it quicker than that. This is just like the last part of it, right? That's the deadline. They have to decide before then. We also know there's a ton of other XRP ETFs in the pipeline that need to be approved as well. The February 13th acknowledgement of Grayscale's 19B4 filing for the Grayscale XRP Trust, Dogecoin Trust, means that the clock will soon start for the agency to review and decide on applications mandated 240-day deadline. The 240-day deadline will start when Grayscale's filings are submitted to the SEC's Federal Register. So now we know that they've been acknowledged as they've been entered, but now they have not been entered in the Federal Registry, which will be coming shortly. Typically happens within days. If entered now, it would mean the SEC's deadline would be mid-October. Over the last 2 weeks, SEC has acknowledged applications for Litecoin and Solana as well, indicating that the SEC's leadership under Trump administration has changed its tact on crypto-related listings. Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seifert and Eric Balkus predicted earlier this month that XRP and Dogecoin ETF bids have a 65 to 75% chance of being approved before the end of this year. There are some questions remaining over XRP's security status. Seifert predicting that an XRP ETF wouldn't be approved until the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple Labs is fully resolved. And I do completely agree with that, considering it's it's the SEC that needs to approve it. And currently, Ripple is being sued by the SEC. So it would be kind of a weird conflict for them to approve an ETF when they're still holding it under an investigation. So we'll see that cleared first, and then the approval, in my personal opinion. Ripple did score that partial victory in August 2023 when it was ruled that XRP wasn't a security when sold on the secondary markets. However, the SEC appealed the decision, claiming the blockchain payments firm breached securities law when it sold XRP to institutional investors, I should say there. It should not be retail. They've already passed the retail section. And one of the most exciting things that I've seen in a while, obviously it's coming from Brian Armstrong, and he's got his fingers on the pulse of this thing. He says 10% of global GDP will be on crypto rails by 2030. Armstrong compared the current movement of companies trying to integrate crypto into the early 2000s when every company had to figure out how to adapt to the internet. On-chain is the new online, he said. If Armstrong's prediction plays out, it would mean over $10 trillion in value would be tokenized on-chain. Based on today's global GDP, over $100 trillion, according to the World Bank. And as we talked about, there's a potential of $16 trillion coming on just to XRP Ledger. He told investors that Coinbase is going to be the preferred partner to come in and build things for many companies out there, as his firm reported a total Q4 revenue $2.3 billion, up 88% quarter on quarter. Armstrong said that the U.S., which represents around 30% of the world GDP, would lead the way through President Trump is moving fast and fulfilling his promise to making U.S. crypto capital on the planet. He added, now that U.S. has the most pro-crypto Congress ever, the company has seen, which is leading in charge on stablecoin and market structure legislation, which he said the rest of the world will follow. For the year ahead, Armstrong said it was going to be about growing revenue with our existing products. It's going to be about driving utility in these new categories where crypto is going to scale and building the foundations to power this next decade of growth. So absolutely incredible, amazing insight on what could be coming from someone who's definitely got his pulse on the crypto markets macro level. And speaking of Coinbase, they absolutely crushed it as far as their company's earnings go. Along with Robinhood, soaring crypto trading volumes drove higher than expected revenues and profits for the exchanges. In Q4, Coinbase posted its strongest quarter of earnings in over a year as crypto prices and trading surged after the election of Donald Trump. Robinhood's Q4 profits beat consensus estimates, with crypto revenue jumping 700% over the year. The fourth quarter, and we would argue 2024 overall, was a pivotal, consequential period for the crypto ecosystem. Market caps exploded, volumes jumped, new participants entered the market, and regulatory confidence completely flipped. Analysts for JP Morgan wrote February 14th research note shared with Cointelegraph. In the past 12 months, shares of Coinbase and Robinhood have risen by approximately 112% and 365% respectively, according to JP Morgan. And when we look at the price performance here, the gray line right here is the S&P 500, while the blue line is Coinbase. Now, even though Coinbase had this massive pump to the upside and a crazy correction, and then actually just tapping off like a moving average line here and retesting and moving to the upside, but it is absolutely mooning and consistently beating out the S&P 500. Analysts at JP Morgan and US Tiger Securities, the stock research firm, raised price targets for Coinbase's stock coin to $344 and $300 per share, respectively, up from $264 and $265.